What's going on, everybody? What's going on? My name is James
Chilling.
Bush. James Bush. I'm the MANVERSATIONS. And we got a special treat today. I mean, I got three intelligent dudes, plus one, that's me, on this podcast. We're going to do a two-parter today because I feel it's very, well, I ain't going to say very rarely, but I got inspired by, just a picture. No, it wasn't pornography, but it was just a picture that showed, a viewpoint of marriage or maybe someone's marital experience. And so I wanted to talk about that day. I'm going to push it up on my Facebook, social media, as well as my Instagram for those who don't look. As a matter of fact, when I did it the first time, I got a lot of likes, views, and opinions on it. So I said, why not talk about it? So I got three intelligent brothers. You got the love coach of Atlanta, Kelvin Troy Johnson. You've got, I call him my man, Boris, the resident sex therapist from CAYA. Come as you are. And then, you got a man pulling up the rear, Mr. Marriage Declassified, author himself, Michael Warren, as well as, the officiator of ProHusband.net.
Absolutely.
So, fellas, how are you guys doing today?
Good, man. Glad to be amongst brothers, fellow bald-headed brothers, and I'm ready to have fun with y'all, man.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I'm doing good. My kids went back to school this week, man. So.
Oh.
Did you have a shot or something like that?
Oh man, yeah. I'm trying to think of a holiday. I mean, we had Juneteenth. That was a Liberation Day. So I mean, can we roll with Augusteenth? I mean, is that too long to put on a T-shirt?
Man, Augusteenth, anything like that.
Augusteenth, something like that.
I just say, man, hey, look, hats off to you, these teachers and instructors who deal with these kids on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Because, man, some of the things that I heard from that other room today, I mean, and that's just through the virtual learning, applet. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Now, you definitely got to have a heart for it.
Yeah. Oh, you're passionate. You got to be passionate about it. So, fellas, I know that each and every one of you has seen that wonderful, wonderful image, the pictorial. Who wants to take the first crack at it? Who wants to go first?
I will.
Go ahead, Boris.
So when you hit me up, I was like, "Yo, what's up, dog?" And then you hit me up with the picture.
Yeah.
I had one of those soulful gut laughs because I didn't feel like it flowed, and it felt like dude just pretty much put his dick away until he was beaten to submission, and then this Tyler Perry ass figure comes in. Mm-hmm. And just lays pipe on his girl. Like I was laughing. I was like, hold up, this is kind of fucked up. Tyler Perry is and his actors and actresses out here just wilding out in 21st century marriage. But that's a reality for a lot of people. How it played itself out in that meme, if you will. But I just feel like the gentleman needs some help with assertiveness. He just kind of got in and he was just like, okay. And he did what society tells him to. And it was always an okay type of situation. And then, he's not speaking up his true self. And the lady doesn't even want him anymore because she's got what she's got to get. And now she's getting something else that the man didn't even know. Damn, this is who my lady was or whatever else. So, it's an unfortunate reality for some. It's comedy for others. But I wish this man would have been himself and had some assertiveness training from the get-go. And I think this probably wouldn't have happened, but it has based on the situation.
Hey, James, just for context, man, because I know you're gonna push this out to the audience. Can we set this up as far as what we're talking about?
Yeah, the framework.
Yeah, because it's great, and there's so many things to unpack in this. There's things to laugh at, there's things that'll make you want to go out and kick the dog. It's a lot of stuff in here, but just to set it up, what he's talking about.
I'm throwing the ball out there. Go ahead, go on right ahead, go on right ahead, bro.
Yeah. So basically, we got what's the equivalent of? I don't know if you want to call this. Well, they're stick figures, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's 4, 8, 12. So there's 16 blocks. So basically, if you think of it in the context of a comic strip, it's telling a story essentially. Yeah. And so.
The marriage of the 21st century.
The marriage in the 21st century is the title. Yep. And so the first one is basically says you got man and a woman. I want marriage. The woman explains, I want marriage. He says, okay. step 2, she's like, I want kids. He says, okay. Then there's a baby comes in the picture. Then there's a fourth, the next one, there's the guy's on his laptop, but looks like the wife is in his ear about something. Just judging from some of these lines, look like she's wearing them out. Then the next one is he's out doing a myriad of activities. Look like he's watering the lawn, cutting the grass, walking the dog. Then he's at work. He comes home from work tired, and his wife is, giving him the business.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, he's tired again, but he's out on the playground with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So then you transition into this scene where she's obviously talking to one of her girlfriends, and the verbiage here is that the romance is gone, and he doesn't give me any attention. Well, this is the point where I don't know what we want to call him. I don't know if we want to call him Backdoor Willie or everybody's got a name for him.
We call him Jody.
Jody, yeah.
I was thinking Jody. Jody now.
Yeah, we'll go with Jody. Yeah, so we got consensus on Jody, so we'll go with Jody. So basically, these women are having this conversation. He pokes his head in there like he's ear hustling, right? So then the next one is, okay, he hits her up on Facebook, and now he's trying to pour a little honey in her ear. It's like, you're so beautiful, I can't stop thinking about you. And then so now she's intrigued because she's responding back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, oh, stop, I'm married and everything. So then the next one is that the gentleman is going out to play golf, and again she's blasting him. And then on the next one, the gentleman hit her back up on Facebook. He's like, come on, let me come over for a coffee while he's at work. And she's like, okay, quotations, but just for coffee, because we know that's never happened, right? So then the next frame is just pretty wild. I mean, she's basically in the 3-point stance, as far as I can tell, and he's knee deep in it, right?
Hey, call it what it is. She getting blasted, man.
She getting blasted. Exactly.
That's all it is right there.
Yeah.
Continue, my brother.
Yeah, straight back shots. So,
straight back shots. Yes.
So basically, move to the next frame. He's all leaning up against the wall, with his head hung down. He says, how could you do this? And then she says, he made me feel special. Next frame, divorce. He's sitting up here with his hands on his head trying to figure out what the hell just happened. She got 2 bags of money. And then the final frame is a split view of him sitting in this little bitty space with his head in his hands, looking like somebody stole his bike. And then on the bottom part of the frame is her and the 2 kids and the dog, but she's in a much, much larger building.
Mm-hmm.
And so it tells a crazy story of, like, to Brother Dawson's point. Okay, they got together. She started making some demands of him, and it seems like that train took off out the gate, and it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And he tried to, be accommodating and everything. But from what I pulled out of this, well, several things I pulled out of it, but the main thing was just this was all about her. And he basically just accommodated this entire deal until basically it seems to me like she was no longer amused, and I've seen this situation play out. And a lot of times what ends up happening is that you have 2 people that probably should have been together and would have liked to have been together. But like, because this guy is just, like I said, just caking or, just accommodating everything, he's giving her no pushback. So she's going to be like, oh, okay, well, I mean, he's soft, like, because some women will do things on purpose. Like, if they know they'll push the envelope, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let me see if I can get away. Let me see if he's going to push back on this. And when you don't, then it's like, okay, well, let me push a little bit further. Let me find the edge until they get to a point where it's like, okay, now I'm pushed the envelope 10 times. So there is no edge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to be in a situation like this or in a relationship like this, because I'm being trifling. I'm being out of control. And he's not, there is no accountability in this relationship. So I'm just get what I can get out of this situation.
Getting me up a pushover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love Coach. Give me what you got.
All right. So that was a great depiction. And this is a conversation that I've been having. I've been having this conversation even as I'm listening to women. I really haven't really kind of come back to them with it. I've just been gathering the stories. I've been listening to the stories, and I've been forming something of an opinion on this. And then you sent me this cartoon strip. Like, I was already cooking on this right here.
Right.
and been having small conversations with other men who are married, and we having these conversations about about this. Now, what it seems to be is there's an age thing with this,
Okay.
right?
Okay, go
It's
ahead.
somewhere around that 35 to like 49 age, right?
Okay.
They get married in their 20s and get what they desire, just like the strip there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's somewhere along the line after the kids and the kids start growing. Kids are 9, 10, sometimes almost teenagers, and that need, there's something in that. They say that we got the 7-year itch, and we,
Mhm.
they say men go through a midlife crisis. Well, I think this is some kind of a midlife emotional
Like a female equivalent.
crisis, a female equivalent to it,
Mm-hmm.
where somewhere around that 35 to 49 years, maybe not even 49, like 45, 35 to 45, like they start going through this desire and this need for that extra attention, that extra hunger. Their ears are open for that opportunity to feel
Mm-hmm.
special.
Yeah.
They just need to feel like what Jada Pinkett said. Like she just needed to feel special.
Mm-hmm.
Aisha Curry needs to feel special. Like
Yeah.
all of these women in this same age range, like they've done the family thing. They got the husband, they got the house, they got the car, they got the things.
Yep.
But now they just need to feel special. So meanwhile, my man is just trying to keep it together, trying to do. Listen, every husband that I know
Mhm.
has been in that guy's shoes, where
Mhm.
you just say, "Okay, all right, listen, whatever it takes to keep the peace up in this camp."
Yeah.
Like, okay, you need me to walk the dog, I'll walk the friggin' dog. I'll water the grass, I'll cut the grass. You know what I mean? And just trying to be a good husband, trying to be a good mate for guys that are not husbands, just longer term relationships. You just
Mm-hmm.
want to, every man wants to be. This is that provider thing, like to provide. Well, how far do we go with this providing?
There you go.
Like we're supposed to
Good question.
provide the extra emotional, like you're doing everything else, but there seems to be that need that pops out in these women between that 35 to 45 years, that desire, that hunger, that leaves them open for Jody to come through.
Mm-hmm.
And Jody knows just what to say.
Yeah.
Whatever you not saying, Jody gonna come through and say it.
So I mean, all brought up a good
Goose
point. I mean, so I was taking notes and I was looking at Boris, and he was saying how that gut brother needs assertiveness training. He needs man to grow that backbone, and I mean, because he wasn't being his most authentic self, and I'm definitely feeling that. And then I was listening to Mike, and he was talking about the level of accountability, and I kind of got a sense that sometimes it's one of those unspoken needs that some women are looking. They're looking for that accountability. They're looking for that pushback. And then when I'm looking at what Kelvin, and he was talking about this female crisis. It's not a midlife crisis, but a female crisis. And I mean, again, yeah, I mean, around what that age brackets, we could had a whole bunch of celebrities who have been in those age brackets, and something just went crazy or anything like that. And you say to yourself, I mean, is this something that is just relevant to this time period because women are making more money and because they have more influence and power or so to some extent? Or is this something that's always been there?
I think that it's something that's always been there. So, I mean, based on what you said, there's two things that's made me latch onto that. The first thing is like what I've understood through my work through the last 5 or 6 years, between writing the books, doing work, doing seminars and boot camps and all that other stuff,
right?
Is that what the women are telling me is that, and I find that it's equally true for us as men, is that when we get into relationships, what we're looking for is connection.
Okay.
Like we're looking for connection. Now the problem is like when we get into these relationships, like when you guys were saying that the guy was trying to be a good husband.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and like this is what I'm trying to debunk with my program, is what is a husband and what does it look like? Like how do you become an effective mate? You know, how do you answer the bell for what your family needs from you as far as resources, what your wife needs from you as far as emotional connection and building a family, but also how do you not lose yourself in that process? Because basically what this picture shows us is that, yeah, I mean, like basically you just the alpha do boy, is that whatever you say, whatever it is that you ask, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just provide. And so like, that's one of the questions I always ask guys that I work with, is that when we start talking about what's the role of a husband, and they say, oh, well, provide and protect. And then this is where I get the crickets. I say, okay, provide what and protect what? See, when you get to that second and third follow-up question, like it gets real quiet real quick. And so what that just led me to understand is that a lot of cats don't understand, what Brother Dawson was saying was about the not necessarily the assertiveness, but it's just the accountability. It's like, look, if we're going to hitch our wagons together and we're going to try to build a life together, it can't be that you have all the say so. Mm-hmm. But culturally and from a societal standpoint, that's what we're telling people, whether we'll admit it or not. It's all just because you hear it all in the cliche. Like that's what we arm men with when they get married, is just cliche. No programs, no no direction, no guidance. It's just all, okay, well, man, just try to keep her happy. Just try to keep her quiet. And and you were talking about the frame where the guy was trying to keep the peace. It is amazing what brothers will sacrifice just for some peace and quiet, right. But it's short and narrow. It's short term and narrow thinking, because what they don't realize is that, okay, I keep making this 5-minute decision because I'm just looking for 5 minutes of peace. But if you do that week after week after week, month after month, well, now you training everybody. You training yourself and you training her that if I just kick up enough dust, it's going to happen, and then that's when cats look up 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and just realize that, man, I've just been on this hamster wheel and everybody's being fed in a relationship except me.
You know what? Well, and not to mention, listen, we can't escape the truth that half the time women don't know what they want.
Exactly.
Let's be honest, right? Like they what they call that, woman's privilege to change her mind. A woman reserves the right to change her mind. Well, guess what? They change their mind all the time.
That is true.
Right?
That is
true. Sometimes that's a personal problem, though, bro.
Sometimes it is, but I mean, it's something that happens, and so so that makes the guy more frustrated when first she said she wanted this, now she said she wanted that, and if you're a yes man, now the more you eat into the yes, now you're a pushover. And now she lacks respect for you, but respects Jody, because Jody come in and tell her, look, here's what you gonna do.
Right.
You gonna turn around and you gonna take this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And she like, oh, okay, all right, that's what we doing. Like, because in my God, in the comic strip, right? She said, but it's you can come over, but it's just coffee. Now she know.
She was already on the hook.
Already on the hook.
As soon as you responded to that invite or that first message, like you was already out of order.
Right. After you said, I'm married, right? Okay. Right. If that wasn't the end of the conversation, she was hooked on. And look, fellas, I got this theory that I don't talk about that often. But just because James called me on this show, and we talking about this here today, I'm gonna share this theory that I've been cooking on for a while.
Come on.
It is my estimation,
okay,
that any woman can be had just like this woman here.
Oh,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't care if she's Michelle Obama. I don't care if she's
ho. You stepping on people's heroes now. That's somebody's hero out there, man. You going out there? You want somebody's hero now?
Who you talking about over there? That's my
boo. Look, you ain't gonna have the Obama hive over me now. Right there. I'm trying to get on.
Look, I don't care if it's her. I don't care if it's Beyonce. You get the beehive on you next.
Yeah.
Look. I don't care who it is. Right? If she's a woman and she's got that space for her emotional cup. Like this cup right here, to be filled. And there's going to be a time where that cup ain't always full.
Yeah.
Right.
Obama, as wonderful as Obama probably is, he can't keep that cup full all the time.
Mhm.
Right.
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 But the Secret Service guy who comes and sees her every morning and tells her how good she looks in that dress and how beautiful she is. Look, that dress just fits you just right.
Hold on, Kip. Mike, didn't we have somebody in Nashville that went through that not too long ago?
Oh yeah. We actually
Milkman
did. Yeah.
did that shit?
The
Or
mayor.
No,
The mayor.
circuit. Yeah, the mayor
The mayor.
and her security guy.
Security guy.
Oh, is that right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. Great. Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
So you're not making this up.
You're not making this up.
I'm telling you, I'm seeing it, and I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I don't care who she is and what her ranking is or any of that. That story proves true that any woman can be susceptible. And the flash just came to my mind of the serpent in the garden.
Yeah.
Mm.
Man, I
Yeah,
love that
that's
analogy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he did not, because that's the thing with the serpent, and I actually use that analogy when I'm working with people, is that I tell them, I said, the serpent did not force that apple down in her throat.
No, he did not.
Like, he did not force her to eat that. Basically, all he did, he just created doubt.
Yeah.
And he just planted the seeds
And
everything. So it's like, kept my hands behind my back. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Mike, and one more thing, though. Hold on, one more thing. Sure. He painted the picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if a man can paint the picture in that woman's mind of how it could be, if you get on my plan, then it's just a matter of time.
Boris, come on, man.
Yeah,
I know you got some heat over there.
So I mean, what you guys are talking about is simply fact, but that also works for men too. I mean, just people in general. It's the art of seduction. Yeah. Anybody can go from however they're thinking, however they are, whatever they feel is comfortable or not, and you can flip that. You can seduce them from however they're thinking, whatever their mindset is, and you can change that. And so, and some of us call it game. Some of it call it, pimping or whatever you want to call it. But you can always switch, and there's an art to it, But starting with this dude and this meme, he could very well be an artist. He could be a pro at the art of seduction, but the lack of confidence, the lack of not knowing who he is, he's not intentional about what he wants. He doesn't know where he's going at this point, and he's living by the scripts that society has told him to do or to live by. And because of that, like I said, he's pretty much just throwing his dick away. And so, maintain who you are, understand where you want to go, be intentional about what it is, and, tell her what you want. Yeah. I mean, in this situation, I mean, obviously she's wanting that man's man. And so, she's obviously wanting somebody who's going to tell her what she wants. And that will help seduce her into what's going on. So you can keep her sexually, you can keep the eroticism going on, the intimacy going on. You can go to work without having to worry about her over your shoulder and shit. Like it's, I feel for the man, but I know so many brothers out there that are living that life and that lifestyle.
Okay. So right there, I'm gonna jump in on this one off the turnbuckle. So I look at it from this standpoint of there was a point in time when we weren't necessarily taught about feelings per se, to be so in touch with our feelings. There was more. I'm just going to go out there because I did study Latin or something like that. And Caesar and all. Only thing I said, et tu brute, man. He only got smeary-eyed when he got stabbed by his son. But down the line, we weren't really all that in touch with our feelings per se, or with the feelings of others. It's just the fact that we led. We were, man, we weren't the caboose. We were, man, that car pulling and pointing and directing. And so now we find ourselves in a time span where there's more rhetoric, there's more of imagery, there's more discussion, narrative about, well, to be a good man, you do this. To be a great man, to be a great husband, you do that. You're more sensitive, you're more vulnerable, you're more in touch, and which is all true to some extent. But sometimes I feel like, man, where there is no leadership, where there's no guidance, where there is no tutelage, where no mentoring, when it comes to these items, sometimes you can swing so far to the left that it's not to your good, and it's peril in the end. And so my thing is that I'm throwing out to you guys, in this time span, where does a brother stand when we are looking to be more in touch and be more in tune, but also lead?
Well,
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
Can I jump in
Go
on? I want to pick up from what you just said. Those images and that information about men being more sensitive and all that rhetoric. A lot of that rhetoric is coming from women.
Sure.
Listen, the memes are being created for the likes of the women. The memes are being created by women for women, and again, okay. I had a meme. I had a meme on my Facebook page about the one with my man at Applebees and the fine restaurant, and then the Applebees one that said, "This is where a boy takes you," and the fine restaurant that said, "This is where a real man takes you."
Wow.
And I know that meme swept through and got lots of women like, "Yeah, that's right."
Yep.
You know,
Wow.
but I put it all on my thing and said, you know what? This is the kind of meme that gets y'all messed up.
Yep.
Because this is not true. You know what I mean?
I remember, and I have to agree with Kelvin on that, because I remember somebody not too long ago, it might have been the same meme or something similar. Chick was like, "It's my first date," and this nigga took me to Mickey D's. And, after that, he took me to the park. And she was like, "This is a whack-ass dude. Who goes to Mickey D's into the park?" Like, that could have been a good dude. He probably didn't have enough money, but he took you to get something to eat. Y'all obviously had some quality time, and she really just drugged this dude through the mud. He probably just didn't have enough money that day or that whatever, but he needed to see you or wanted to see you and gave his time, and that was definitely broken down to not a good man or not good enough. And so, yeah, just looking at the 21st century and how we're defining what a good man is, it's very hard. I just look at, we learn who we are or what we are by what people tell us, but also by, these billboards, TV shows. People learn and pick up all those things by all of this suggestion around us. And I just feel like we're all over the place. The good man is really today still being redefined.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
I think I think he said that perfectly, because, that is something that's the challenge now, is how do we define manhood? Because I feel like in the past, like our, 2 generations ago, where basically the only expectation from you as a man was, as long as you brought home the bacon, like that was it. Like that was it.
Yeah.
And so, but Jodies were still happening back then. Why? Because like, that's the thing. Like, these are not new issues.
Okay.
Like, these things have been just a part of the human story. I mean, we can go back as far as things have been written down. Like, somebody was always creeping. There was always a baby daddy somewhere, that somebody wasn't claiming,
True.
So at the end of the day, I think, what it says right now is that I think this is actually a great time for people to get into relationships. And I'm going to tell you why. Because like in our parents' generation and before that, a lot of times women would choose mates based on what they could provide. Like, they had to make some compromises. Say, okay, well, because they weren't in the job market like they are now, 60, 70 years ago,
Right.
And so it's like, okay, well, because what were they being told? It's like, oh, well, get you a good man, get you a man who's got a good job, who's got an education, who can buy you that house with the white picket fence and everything, right? He can get you the car and the white picket fence and the dog and the 2 kids and all the other stuff and everything, but he could also have another family on the other side of town.
So good.
And that also happened. Why? Well, he had time to do that. Why? Because as long as he made the money and kept the lights on, nobody had anything to say to him. But now now we're having to level set now, because now women are now able to bring their own resources to the table. And so now I feel like it's a great time, because now you get to pick a partner based on, like, I want to ride off into the sunset with this person. Yeah. Like, I want to build a life with this person. Not I got to get with him because, the only jobs that are available for me are a secretary or a school teacher. Yeah. But I can come in and bring my own resources to the table and say, okay, look, I can talk to you about the vision, like like Kelvin, you were talking about, the imagery and everything. That's exactly what it is. And that's one of the things that I coach on, is being able to set a vision. It's like, if you can paint a picture for a woman, and you can demonstrate leadership, then we don't have these memes.
Really?
Really, yeah. And I'm gonna tell you why, because that's the thing. Like, because I've seen this in my own marriage, because my wife is, she's in corporate. She's way up in the top of the food chain. We've had conversations like this. We've been married 15 years now.
What's up?
And so the funny thing is, she will be the first to tell you. She was like, yeah, I make good money and I make a lot of decisions at work. I've got power and influence. She was like, but there are a lot of times where I want to be able to take that hat off and hand it off. Like when I come home, hand it off to my husband and just know things are going to be all right. Like the other half of our life is going to be taken care of, And so, by being an effective mate, by learning how to be like what I call lethally efficient in all of my responsibilities in the family and in my marriage, like I get that respect, because the respect that's defined as, it's a deep admiration that is elicited by one's abilities. So when I start talking to cats about relationships and they start talking about respect this and respect that, I have to ask them, I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing in this area that is admirable? If you don't return phone calls, what is admirable about that? If she's saying, okay, we're going to get married and I need you to help, figure out how we're going to get resources to pay for the wedding or buy that house or what have you, and you don't have an answer to that, what about that is admirable? And so that's where we start losing, respect and everything. So to me, like, there's a lot of conversations we got to have around what manhood is, but I feel like there's a middle of the road. There is a middle, that there's a gray area that we can get into where we can still be men, still be assertive, still, prove ourselves as great mates and everything, but still be honest about what's going on with you. Because that's the other thing. Like, I'm sure Kelvin and Greg can attest to this. How many times do you hear from women talking about he's not emotionally available? That's a deep, concentrated part of the pie. So look, I can go out here, I can tell you, hey, look, you hurt my feelings and everything, and still go out here and go try to bench press 400 pounds. I can still go do that. That doesn't make me any less of a man because I was being honest with you. And the reality is that we've always had emotions. Like, we talk like we've never had these emotions. It's like they happen because we're human beings, right? But we don't go cry. If our boss, kicks up, hands our ass to us, at work, or if we come home and, the wife has just melted our face off with, critiques or whatever. No, we don't go lay down in a pillow and cry. We don't call our mom. What do? Well, we go jump in a bottle. We go to the gym. We go try to dunk on a 13-year-old or something like that. We go find somewhere. We go take that. We go find somewhere to express that.
Or you go call your side chick. Hey.
If you're the multitasking type, yeah.
Kel, what you got for me, man?
No, I was just thinking. I don't know what stage you guys are in as far as even family and kids and all of that. But there's something else. And JB, listen, I'm glad that we are having these conversations, because generations ago, there wasn't really a place except the barbershop, but they can only get us so deep on real issues, Yeah. But so I think these kind of platforms like this, where we have these real conversations where men talk about this stuff, is a great thing for us to solidify ourselves and keep from having that bowed down head like the guy in the cartoon strip, feeling alone and like a victim, But listen, what I wanted to say about what Mike had to say is, there's even a next level to this, that when you have that I'm experiencing with now that the kids are becoming like teenagers and get ready to leave the house, like there's a new thing where once upon a time, Bill, the Huxtables taught people what a father was, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this time, like, the fathers who are you could be a father in the home and you are being replaced by Google.
Yeah.
You're being replaced by Yahoo, by YouTube, and they're listening to people right there sitting in your house, in their rooms, and they're getting advice about things that may be against what you believe, what you have instilled in them. They're getting advice from all these other factors. And so You know, and you know, as they get older, before when they were younger, like we were with them step to step, you know. But as they get older, they get around that 16. I got a 17-year-old getting ready to go off to college next year. Like, you know, the conversation has shifted. I don't ride his back like I like I used to, you know. But I've observed over time, and I can almost remember the little shift that happened. I remember when I bought him that iPhone.
Yeah.
I remember when I bought him that iPhone and he came home, he said, "Daddy, I'm the only kid in the class. Me and one other kid in my class are the only kids in there with no cell phone." And I want to say this was maybe like sixth grade, maybe the 6th grade. Yeah. I'm the only, so what did I do? Try to be a good father, go get him a cell phone, right? And I saw from then on, when them earphones went on,
yeah.
And now I'm not controlling what he's listening to, what influences him. You know, I saw the shift, and I saw some of that is natural, you know, boy stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I'm telling you guys, for those men who are out and those men who are seeking to lead their sons and be in their son's life and be an influence, there is an outside influence that's trying to get into your sons and your daughter's ears, and that's through social media. So
yeah, and I think I'm at that point now where I'm probably hitting that shift. I mean, I've got 2 daughters and everything. They're 11 and 9 and everything. Okay. But my 11-year-old, like, she got an iPod an iPod, not an iPhone. Okay. We gave her an iPod because that was like, we started hearing some of those same conversations, you know, about her, you know, friends at the gym and everything, because they both do competitive gymnastics and everything. And so they were, you know, she'd be like, "Oh, well, so-and-so, you know, I can't do my routines. I can't record this or whatever because, you know, I have to go ask somebody else, whatever." You know, kids always know how to build a case when they want something for you, right?
Sure they do.
So, so it was interesting, but she had that. And so, I mean, we had a conversation about, like, this are the rules. Like, it doesn't go to school. Why? Because you don't need it at school. You know, it's like, we paid good money for the people who are standing in front of you to pour into you and everything. So that's who you need to be paying attention to. I was like, and whoever else you would be texting or communicating with during the day, they need to be paying attention to whoever's in front of them as well, not talking to YOLO behind. Mm-hmm. So, you know, for me, like, I've been very intentional about trying to stay in front of that, of what you just explained, Kelvin, because I do think that that's very important. And I do think that's something that is very prevalent, where we've gotten to the point where, as parents, sometimes you're tired and sometimes it is so easy just to drop that device in their hands, you know. Mm-hmm. But what we don't realize is that, you know, what we're negotiating for a few minutes of peace is that we're giving up our authority, because, like you said, they'll run across something and start getting answers and everything. Mm-hmm. But the challenge is also, we know that a lot of what's on social media and on the internet is fluff. Mm-hmm. You know, they'll watch a program and not realize that this thing was edited, you know, that it was shot 3 or 4 times. They don't realize that, oh, this lady who did this makeover on this house, I saw her swinging a sledgehammer. She did that whole thing by herself. No, she didn't. You didn't see behind the camera, there was 50 other people with an assortment of tools, and they shot this in a week. You know, no house goes up in a week like that, you know, not without a small army doing it. But, you know, to your point, like, we do have to be very intentional about, like, understanding how important having that authority is, and being like the sole authority. And I always talk to my kids about, I said, look, this technology, it moves fast and everything. I was like, and it's a tool. I say it's a tool for you to, I mean, you can obviously entertain yourself, I said, but the same thing that takes you to cartoons, it'll take you to information to help you get this book report done, you know. But you just have to understand that, you know, that you can't get swept up in this. And the best way to do that, really, I mean, is just exposure. I mean, because, hey, look, if I spend 30 minutes with her, but then I let her sit on the phone for 6 hours, who do you think is going to have more sway over her in that day? You know, so for me, like, what I do is, like, we have experiences. Like I take them out, you know, sometimes we'll go one-on-one, you know, just have a daddy, you know, firstborn, you know, and daddy date or something like that. We'll go get some ice cream or go to the park, or, like, even if I'm just doing work, like, I spare my kids no grace just because they're girls and everything. I had them out there with the pressure washer 2 weeks ago and everything, trying to, you know, spray off the patio and everything. Cause I'm like, look, you know, you strong enough to move it and everything, but, you know, I'm teaching them things. I'm showing them things every day. Like, I take the posture of, look, I'm not only dad, I was like, but I'm also a teacher. So, so you don't get caught by Jody just because he's got nice things or whatever. I need you to be able to determine your own. I need you to be able to have the tools and resources to determine your own destiny. So when you pick a partner who's right for you, somebody that you're comfortable with, and somebody who has your best interest at heart, and not just somebody who can just finance your wishes of the week.
Boris, I'm gonna pick with you right now.
Uh-oh.
So we're gonna take man Kelvin's his theoretical concept.
It's true.
We're gonna take that. We're gonna pick up on that. And we said, okay, so the guidelines are that they were married around in their 20s. Nuptials have lasted through their 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, or early 40s, and all of a sudden, something starts to go awry.
Tingle.
Start to tingle. Ask the sex therapist, how much is that relegated to? Maybe that woman wants some different penis or different experience.
And she might, and and that could be okay if that's in their agreement.
Okay.
But that sounds like it's not a consensual non-monogamy type of a situation. They agreed on monogamy just between them two. So what needs to happen if she wants some other penis or some other dick or whatever else is she has to voice that. She has to let him know. But there has to be that trust. There has to be all this other things going on to build a solid foundation, to see if both parties are okay with taking it to the point where you're welcoming somebody else in the bed, or you're allowing a partner to go off and be with another person. There's a lot to break down. As science says, when women become 40, they want to do all this other stuff. They become that's their heightened sexual self, right? So they start tapping into those buttons and those levers and those whatever else, and they start to find, that level of pleasure that they want to continue to grow and experience.
Took them long enough.
They didn't have. Huh?
I said it took them long enough.
Yeah.
We've been working on that.
Working on that for a while now.
That's what 16, right?
16.
Look, I had the car running for a minute now.
Hey, I like to get warmed up before I get that motherfucker up. So when you get to that point, man, it just it's really hard for a lot of men to adjust to that, because a lot of men want monogamy, but there is a lot of people out there that want that's cool with letting her do that. But it's a lot to break down. It's a lot to deal with.
But based on what you just said right there, okay, and based on what man Mike and Kelvin just alluded to, especially when we got these electronic devices and this social media, and we got everything that's on the grid right now. We're sometimes maybe heavily influenced by the things we ain't doing that tonight, man. No wap, whatever. We ain't doing that right now. I don't care what no Surgeon General or anything. But anyway, so they could be heavily influenced by those ideals, especially things that are, I guess, highlights of this contemporary age, where it's more celebrated to engage in certain things as opposed to what has been before. Or maybe for what you didn't know, because we didn't know that Ozzy Davis and Ruby Dee were doing what they were doing till later. I mean, they didn't broadcast it, they didn't publicize it, but they was getting that. They was doing what they was doing.
It was tough for them. They living by coastal, and so how you going to get it in, how you going to continue to have the pleasure and experience,
right?
And whatever else, you're going to have to be creative.
Okay.
You're going to have to live in those erotic moments where you're going to live in something mysterious. You're going to have to take chances, safe chances and risks and shit like that. But this Hollywood was just hard on them, so they had to try something different. Monogamy probably wasn't just going to work for them. And that really is a test of some two people that really trust each other.
Okay.
You're not going to bow out if somebody wants to have something different. And if they want to have something different, doesn't mean that they want to be rid of you. And so a lot of times us as men feel like
flag on the play, flag on the play, flag on the play.
Oh shit.
Flag on the play. Rewind that tape.
My bad.
That's
you said trust.
Yeah.
You said trust.
Absolutely.
We don't trust people with susu. For those who know what susu is, trust. That's heavy, bro. That's heavy, especially in these ages, in this time, or so like that.
Yeah.
Kelvin, I see you, man, going with me on that, man. Feeling, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. You know what? He just brought a real good point that, you know, just because your mate wants somebody else, that doesn't mean that they don't want you. You know, that doesn't mean that the guy is a scoundrel and he's a lowlife and all these things just because he has the desire for another woman. It takes no love off of you just because he desires to have, and I guess, like you said, vice versa for the woman. Maybe, you know, maybe her, I don't know if women are built that way to be able to bounce back and have that kind of back and forth. So what do you think about that, Dawson?
It really just depends, you know. It depends on the person. It depends on if they're going to allow themselves to get in certain arenas. I myself consider myself monogamish. However, I'm in a monogamous relationship. My woman and I talked about how we're going to do this, and she's like, look, this is what it is. I can't have all that extra stuff. I know this is what you want. And then I told her, you know, okay, yeah, this is what I want, but this is a kind of eroticism or the whatever else that I need. And we met eye to eye on that. And, you know, there's some things that, you know, if we want to bring somebody into the bed for a threesome or something like that, we'll talk about it. We'll get that done. But I'm not able to do the full the rules of monogamish like I wanted to originally, but sometimes that's what a relationship is all about. Sometimes you're gonna have to give up on some things and agree on others. And so what we have together right now is a monogamous relationship that we've agreed on that works for the both of us. And but when it comes to opening up the relationship, you got to be around those circles of people that also kind of have on the same wavelength as you. Because if you were thinking about, you know, going to California and banging and doing back shots with this chick, and you know your chick ain't really, you know, she's Christian, she's devout Christian, and she's not really doing all this extra shit, you might as well just go ahead and write a check and give her the house just like in the meme and everything else. That's, you know, she gonna get you for everything you got. So you have to put yourself around these certain environments of the lifestyle with consensual non-monogamy believers and people that live by that, swear by that, and you know, you have to build that foundation of trust too, and then just go from there.
So
you know, there's men that are cool with that, and there's also women that are cool with that too.
Polyamorous sections, you know, like, you know, Polly want a cracker. Okay. All right.
Okay. Can I point out two things?
Come on, Mike. Come on, Mike.
Said, I want to like the two things that are happening in what you just explained. One is agreement, right? And in order to have that agreement, you have to be talking. Right. And so for me, like in my vantage point on it, like that communication piece, like, I mean, that is sewn into every facet of the relationship and everything. So it's like, to your point, it's like if you and your lady have that conversation and y'all come to an agreement, be like, okay, Leah, I'm willing to roll like this, you know, in our relationship. In my mind, that's nobody else's business and everything.
Absolutely.
So it's like, is it a plus to have, I guess, a community like a swinging community or something like that? You can use that as, you know, sort of a recruiting pool if you want, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, for me, I think what's most important and what gets lost in particular when we're talking about like sex and desires and everything is that a lot of times those things are not being like honestly communicated, you know, and so you can start out, you know, knocking the fire off of that thing, you know, and then 5-10 years later, like what always happens with long-term relationships, we get used to each other, right? And we get used to each other, and then it's like, okay, well, if the charm has worn off on this thing, but you want something different, you know, my belief is that you can have something different with the same person if you're talking about it. Now, sometimes that can just be a lazy approach to say, okay, well, you know what, we just always do it, you know, these two ways. And then that's it. That's how we get it in. But, you know, I need you, like, if her desires to, you know, I want you to come take me while I'm, you know, warming up these greens or something like that. You know, just
What the hell? Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
yeah.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
over here. I'm going into the
Wait a
mic. I'm
minute.
like, oh, what the hell?
He said, warming up these greens, man.
Yeah.
Are they turnip, or they kale, or they mustard? That's gonna tell us a whole lot. Or they collards.
Hey, look, it don't matter. She ain't gonna make it to them greens. So. But
Wow.
no, but I think like just that communication piece is really important because, like I said, if you want something new, if you're not talking about that, you know, because you may be able to answer that call, you know, but it's like, but you have to have that information in order to have that conversation, make those decisions. Now, if she says, okay, well, look, you know what, I need somebody that can, you know, pick me up, and you know, we want to get, you know, I want to get go to the sex store and get all this other stuff, you know. If my man's got a bad back, you know, and he's like, you know what, I'm not into all that, then that conversation goes in a different direction. Mm-hmm. You know, but to me, like before anybody makes those steps, it's like you gotta talk and do like Greg said, come to an agreement.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean that communication piece is golden, because I think a lot of times like you may feel like you need to outsource part of your relationship, but if you haven't really talked about it and figured out why that need is there. Because sometimes, like I always ask, like, what's behind the need? Everything. It's like, okay, why is it that you want to get accosted in the kitchen and not make it to the greens? Like, what is like what's the payback? Like, what's the payoff in that for you? If that's just a way to say, like, according to the meme, like maybe this dude's gotten way too passive, you know, and she wants somebody to take charge. It's like, okay, well, you can take charge and now become a new force within the relationship. You know, but you can't, but that information will not come into focus. You can't even have that conversation if you're not talking. But I mean, I love what Greg said about having that agreement, because that agreement can only come if you're talking.
Right. Communication.
Definitely. All right, fellas, hold up 1 minute. We got to stop right here because I got to end the tape or so like that. But we're going to continue this on part 2. What's burning on the bushes next, man? Stay tuned. See y'all next week.